Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another book review on ForgottenWeapons.com. I'm Ian McCollum, and the book we are taking a look at today is FN Browning Pistols, Sidearms That Changed the World by Anthony Vanderlinden. Now, Mr. Vanderlinden is a noted FN collector and has also actually published a book on FN Mauser rifles, which I reviewed a while back. I thought that was an excellent book. This is also an excellent book. This was published in 2009. And it's a follow-up to an earlier book that he did on the subject. And in fact, this is not even the most recent version. I somehow missed the fact that in 2013, a revised and expanded version of this book came out. So I have not had a chance to look at it yet. I'm basing this review on the original version here. Just be aware that everything that you see, everything I describe here, they've added, he's added, I think, 80 pages and a substantial amount of additional content apparently to the revised version. So everything you see here, add on a little bit more to get a feel for what the current version of the book actually is. Now, this starts out about a third of the pages. This version is 322 pages. About the first third of that is dedicated to the history of FN in Belgium. And that sounds kind of dry and boring, but Vanderlinden does a really good job of writing it in a way that makes it engaging and interesting. FN was manufacturing, in addition to firearms, vehicles. They also made bicycles, motorbikes, trucks, cars, and he talks about that as well as the firearms. Of course, FN is in Liège, Belgium, and they were involved, of course, in World War I and World War II, and in both of those conflicts, Liège was occupied, so the factory went through these periods of dealing with occupation. Do they continue production? Do they not? How does that all work? FN was subject to significant destruction at the end of World War II. Interestingly, not because of Allied bombing during the occupation, but rather after liberation, the plant was hit directly by 3 V-1 flying bombs and nearly hit, took close misses from 2 additional ones. And then they rebuilt themselves after World War II. Again, actually, they kind of rebuilt after World War I and after World War II. Anyway, all of that story is really nicely covered in here. The book then goes on to talk about just some interesting historically relevant or specialty versions of FN pistols. And this is the sort of chapter that you wouldn't normally, or at least I wouldn't normally expect in a book like this. So, for example, in 1912 or 1913, FN produced the 1 millionth Browning pistol, and they were obviously very happy about that milestone, and they threw a big party to celebrate it, and they produced a number of commemorative pistols marked 1 million, 1 million, on the side of the slide. Vanderlinden talks about those. He discusses the actual party that happened, which is pretty cool. They invited the King of Belgium. They had John Browning there. They had Val Browning there, his son. They had all sorts of other important VIPs. The same section of the book also talks about, for example, the FN 1910 pistols that were used by Gavrilo Princip and his co-conspirators when they Princip shot Archduke Ferdinand and started the series of events that would become World War I. There's a lot of misconception, or at least there was until this information was made very clear. There's a lot of misconception about exactly what sort of pistol was used. And a lot of that is the fault of the media at the time, who didn't really know and just kind of made some assumptions. But it's known exactly what 4 pistols by serial number were actually purchased by the conspirators, and that's the subject of another small section in here. Once you're through that, the book then progresses with kind of the meat of the book, which is a discussion, a history, development, and collector's guide to all the major models of FN pistols. So this will start with the model of 1899, and which then transitioned into the model of 1900, which is, you might recognize it or remember it as the one where the recoil spring is above the barrel. 32 caliber semi-auto, but barrel's on the bottom, recoil springs on the top. After that, you have the model of 1903, which was a blowback 9mm pistol, but 9x20 Browning long. That was adopted by a bunch of European militaries, as was the 1900. Most significant was Sweden, who adopted the model 1903 as their model 1907. That's discussed. Then you have the model 1905, which is a little pocket pistol. You have the model 1910, the 1910/22. Obviously, the Browning high power plays a large role here. And in and amongst these, are also, well, let me back up a little bit. Each one of these sections covers the initial development of the pistol, often including discussion of prototypes, pictures of prototypes. Many of these are John Browning designs, and when relevant, Browning's prototype pistols are included. The book then talks about the evolution of each individual gun during its production life. So, are there multiple variants? What were they? How did markings change? How did grips change? How did features of the gun change? Including things like guns that were produced under occupation for the Germans. How are those different? Most of these pistols are specifically designated or specifically addressed by contract, because FN, of course, sold pistols to a large number of foreign governments. So you'll see sections on, the Greek contract for this one, and then the Russian contract, the Swedish contract, and how these guns are different, what features ought to be on each different nation's contracted pistols, when they were made, what the serial number ranges are. It really is an excellent collector's book. It's efficiently written, it's concisely written, but it includes quite a lot of information. And that's probably nowhere more substantial than with the section on the Browning High Power, which has quite a lot of variations going from pre-World War II up to well into the post-World War II era. So I found this to be an excellent book. I didn't actually realize that there was the extended version, the revised second edition of this, until I went to do a little checking to confirm the price before filming this video. So as soon as I'm done filming this, I will be off to order a copy of the new version. That book, by the way, is $68. If you look it up on Amazon, at least at the time of this filming, you will find the standard Amazon Prime price to be $85. So you're welcome to order it from Amazon. I'll have a link to them in the description, but I would strongly recommend that you order it directly through the publisher. I'll have that link as well, because the publisher charges less than Amazon does, which is a bit unusual, but good news for you guys. If you have any interest in firearms history, in pistol history, in military pistols, John Browning, any of these subjects, this is really an excellent book. It's hard to exaggerate the amount of context that is in this book. Tremendous amount of information on both world wars and on all of the events surrounding FN's pistols, the countries and the agencies that use them. It really is an excellent book. To be honest, this is one of the books that I look to that I hope my own book will compare favorably to. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you will enjoy a copy of this if you decide to get one for yourself. Thank you very much for watching.